The Battle of Anglesey Sound was fought in June and July 1098 on the Menai Strait, separating the island of Anglesey from mainland Wales. The battle was fought between Magnus Barefoot, King of Norway, and the Anglo-Norman earls Hugh of Montgomery and Hugh of, and took place as part of Magnus Barefoot's expedition into the Irish Sea, which sought to assert Norwegian rule over the Kingdom of the Isles. Only a few days after the Normans had captured Anglesey from the Welsh, Magnus Barefoot appeared with some ships off the coast. Fighting soon began with arrows shot between the Norwegian ships and Norman forces on the shore. But as Hugh of Montgomery was hit with an arrow and killed, the Normans retreated back to England. The defeat of the Normans allowed for the return of the exiled Gruffudd ap Cynan, King of Gwynedd, who thereby regained control of his former lands. Background: following their invasion of England in 1066, and the subsequent conquest of large parts of Wales, the Normans proceeded towards North Wales in the late 11th century. While the Normans experienced a setback in 1094, the Norman earls Hugh of Montgomery and Hugh of finally managed to conquer North Wales and Anglesey in 1098, forcing Gruffudd ap Cynan, King of Gwynedd, to flee to Ireland. Early in 1098, the Norwegian king Magnus Barefoot went on an expedition with a large fleet into the Irish Sea, seeking to assert Norwegian rule over the Kingdom of the Isles. After he had subdued most of the Isles and set up his base on Man, he went further south and appeared with 6 ships off the coast of Anglesey, only a few days after the Norman capture. Battle. According to Orderic Vitalis, Magnus entered the Menai Strait with a red shield on the mast, which was the usual sign of signal peace and trade. While Magnus may have sought trade, or to get provisions for his ships, he may also have intended to take possession of the island as a base for further operations. When Magnus approached Anglesey in June and July, the Normans did not permit him to land. The fighting started with the two sides shooting arrows at each other, the Norwegians while still on board the ships, and the Normans while standing on the shore. As the Normans prepared to attack the Norwegians, Hugh of Montgomery, who was fully armored except for an opening for his eyes, was shot through one eye with an arrow and died instantly. Contemporary non-Norse sources all agree that Magnus Barefoot himself was responsible for the shot, while the Norse sagas are somewhat less inclined to attribute the decisive shot to Magnus alone, noting that his shot hit Hugh almost simultaneously with that of another of his men, since some sources indicates that Magnus regretted the deed when he realized who he had killed. Magnus may originally have been interested in alliances with the Normans. The Normans retreated from Anglesey to England following the defeat. Aftermath. Although the Welsh considered the Norwegians the liberators following the Norwegian victory against the Normans, Magnus regarded Anglesey as part of the Kingdom of the Isles and took the island as a Norwegian possession. Since the Norwegians never settled on the island, Anglesey reverted to Welsh control when Gruffudd ap Cynan returned from Ireland in 1099. The Norwegian control was at best nominal thereafter, but as Gruffudd awarded Magnus with great rewards and honour, and during Magnus's second expedition in 1102 allowed him to cut as much timber as he wanted, Magnus may possibly have reasserted the overlordship over Gruffudd formerly held by Godred Crovan, and thereby received the submission of Gwynedd. Bibliography. Ashley, Michael. British Monarchs. The Complete Genealogy, Gazetteer, and Biographical Encyclopedia of the Kings and Queens of Britain. Robinson. ISBN 9781854875044. 4 St. Randy Ellen. Titelstad, Bard ed. Magnus Barefoot. Saga Kongin. Saga Bok Spartacus. ISBN 9788243005846. Hudson, Benjamin. Viking pirates and Christian princes, dynasty, religion, and empire in the North Atlantic. Oxford University. ISBN 9780195162370. Maund, K.L., Ireland, Wales and England in the 11th century. Boydell and Amp, Brewer, ISBN 9780851,155,333. Munch, P.A. and Rev. Gos Chronica Regna Maniae Insularum, The Chronicle of Man and the Sudras, Volume 1. Douglas, Isle of Man, The Manx Society. Nicholas Thomas. Annals and Amp, Antiquities of the Counties and Amp County Families of Wales. 2. Genealogical Publishing Com. ISBN 9780806313146. Check date values in date equals. Oram, Richard. Domination and Lordship. Scotland, 1070 to 1230. Edinburgh University. ISBN 9780748614974. Power, Rosemary. Magnus Barefoot's Expeditions to the West. The Scottish Historical Review. Edinburgh University. 65 107 to 132. ISSN 00369241. Power, Rosemary. Meeting in Norway. Norse-Gaelic Relations in the Kingdom of Man and the Isles. 1090 to 1270. Saga Book. Viking Society for Northern Research. University College London. 29. 5 to 66. ISSN 03059219.